Good morning. Welcome to our math lesson. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you enjoyed the sunshine and a little bit of the fog on Sunday morning. So, when we're talking about multiplying with multiples of 10, which is what this math lesson is all about, when we're talking about that, if at any point in time you get confused with it, the most basic way to talk about it is if you're multiplying with zeros, you cover up the zeros, multiply, get your product, and then add the zeros at the end. So for example, we have 8 times 500. Well, I can cover up my zeros and do 8 times 5. 8 times 5 is 40. Then I ask myself, how many zeros did I cover up? Well, I covered up 2. So I'm going to add 2 zeros at the end. And so my answer is 4,000. I put the comma after every 3 numbers from right to left. So I go 1, 2, 3, comma. Okay? On 4 times 5,000, cover up my zeros. Go 4 times 5. 4 times 5 is 20. Then I ask myself, how many zeros did I cover up? 3. I'm going to add 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. Then from right to left, 1, 2, 3, comma. So our answer there is 20,000. Okay, let's look at the next part. Remember, 50 can be written as 5 tens. We can also use the associative and commutative properties to rearrange the factors so that we can multiply the product of a basic fact by 10. The associative property, if you remember, is when we change what numbers hang out with which numbers. So the numbers in the parentheses can change. The commutative property is when we can move numbers around and get the same product, okay, or the same sum. And if we can rearrange those factors or those numbers so that we can multiply the product of a basic fact by 10. So let's look right down here. It says multiply with multiples of 10, and we'll explain that last part. Okay? When a number of ones is multiplied by 10, the ones become tens. So 1 10 times 5 ones equals 5 tens. So 10 times 5 is 50. Now, as we go through these pages in your practice book, okay, as we go through these pages, go ahead and go through them with me. Okay, so fill this in as we're going through this lesson. The practice book starts on page 141. So if you're not there yet, I'll give you a little time to get there. 141. Page 141. Okay. The next part says to multiply with multiples of 10, use place value and properties. So 2 times 3 is the same as 2 times 1 times 3 times 1. And if I change who I'm hanging out with, which is the associative property, this can mean 2 times 3 times 1 times 1, which is 6 times 1, which equals 6. So when I look at the bottom one, 2 times 30, 2 times 1 times 3 times 10, because this is 2 and this is 30. So I still have 2 times 30. But now I'm going to change how those numbers or who those numbers are hanging out with. And I get to do that because every sign is a multiplication sign. I only get to use that associative property in this way because every sign is a multiplication sign. If you had a different sign in there, like a division, a subtraction, an addition sign, if we had one of those in there with the multiplication, I would not be able to do that. But because they're all multiplication signs, I can change who they're hanging out with to make an easier equation. Or to just make sure that, or to see if I can multiply by a group of 10, because multiplying with zeros is really fairly simple. You just have to get that basic idea of it first. So now I have 2 times 3 times 1 times 10, which then equals 6 times 10. So I cover up my zeros. 6 times 1 is 6. How many zeros did I cover up? 1. So I put my 1 right there, and I have 60. Okay? Now this one is not in your book, I don't think, but we will be looking at these. And so when you see these lines, you know that you are getting your product there. But what it's asking you is to look at the 9 and to look at the 3, because 90 is 9 times 10, and 3 is 3 times 1. Okay? So the 10 already got moved down here. So now I'm just left with my 9 and my 3. So 9 times 3 is 27, times 10 is 200. How many zeros do I have? I have 1 0. Okay? So I'm going to put a 1 0 right here. So I have 270. This 1 means I have 1 0, not the number 1. I have 1 0. Okay? It says use a basic multiplication and mental math to complete. So if I know that 9 times 2 is 18, then I know if I go ahead and if I'm adding a 0, I'm still going to have 18, but I just have to add this 0 to the end of my number. So I have 180. Okay? Those will get really simple. Okay, so let's look at this. I'm going to drag this across the screen first. Excuse me. Okay. It says use a shortcut. Find the basic multiplication product, then multiply by 10. All right, just like what we looked at on this page, we're doing the same thing. So, looking at number 1, 6 times 40. Well, they're telling me do 6 times 4. Okay, because 6 times 40, that's like 6 times 1 times 4 times 10, right? Because this is 6 and this is 40. But if I can pull out this 10, then it might just help me understand the problem a little bit better. So 6 times 4 is 24. Again, you're filling this in with me. Fill this in with me. 24 times 1 is 24. How many zeros do we have? We have 1 0, so I'm adding 1 0 at the end. 240. Number 2, 4 times 5. This is 4 times 1 times 5 times 10. Again, you're writing that down with me. Thank you. You guys are doing a great job so far. Now, when you look at it this way, I can look at the commutative property, the associative property, and say that I can change how those numbers are being organized. So this now becomes 4 times 5 times 1 times 10. Okay? I can just group these numbers together and the 10s together. Or the 10 together. So 4 times 5 is 20. Now I have 20 times 10. Well, how many zeros do I have? I have 2 zeros. I'm going to cover up my 2 zeros. And go 2 times 1 equals 2. How many zeros did I cover up? Well, I covered up 2. One from the 20 and one from the 10. So my answer is 200. If you want to check your work, you can remember that multiplication is repeated addition. So I could also go 50 plus 50 plus 50 plus 50, and I would get 200. Okay? Now I'm going to get rid of some of that because that's going to be getting in my way here. Okay. Number 3, 70 times 80. Number 3, 70 times 80. 7 times 8, 56. 56 times 1, because I can cross out that 10. 56 times 1 is 56. How many zeros did I cover up? I covered up 1 0, so I'm adding 1 0 to the end. Okay, number 4, 90 times 3. Number 4, 90 times 3. 9 times 3 is 27. Now, 27 times 10, again, I can cover up my 0. Think about it later. 27 times 1 is 27. Then how many zeros did I cover up? I need to ask myself, and I covered up 1 0, so I'm adding 1 0 at the end, so 270. Hopefully you guys are starting to get the hang of it, if not already have mastered it. You guys are awesome. Okay, let's change the color here. Okay, use the basic multiplication and mental math to complete. When it says mental math, it wants you to start thinking about numbers like 4 and 40 and how they're related. So 4 and 40 are related because 4 means that there's 4 ones. 40 means that there's 4 tens. So 4 ones would look like 4 times 1. 4 tens looks like 4 times 10, which just means I'm adding a 0 to the end of this. So 3 times 4 is 12. Okay? So 3 times 40, well, I cover up the 0. 3 times 4 is 12. How many zeros did I cover? 1, so I'm adding 1 0 at the end. Number 6. 1 times 2, 2. 10 times 2, cover up the 0. Now I go 2 times 1. 2 times 1 is 2. How many zeros did I cover? I covered 1 0. So I'm putting a 0 next to, or at the end of my answer. Number 7, 9 times 8, 72. 9 times 80, cover up the 0. And then go at 9 times 8 again, because that's what I see. How many zeros did I cover up? I covered up 1. Add it to the end. 720. Go ahead, try 8 through 16. I'm going to let the video keep playing. If you're not sure, then you can hold off for just a few seconds. But if you're ready to go ahead, then go ahead and work. And then we'll check it in just a few seconds. Okay, I do have to speed this up because I only have 30 more seconds or so. 2 times 9 is 18, so 2 times 90 is 180. Okay, I'm going to go quick. 5 times 5 is 25, so 5 times 50, cover up the 0, how many? 250. 3 times 5 is 15, 3 times 50, 150. 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 10 is 10. 2 times 3 is 6. So 20 times 3 is 60. Okay, you guys did a great job. Keep it up. My video time is going to be ending here. So if you have questions, go ahead and ask. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. You rocked it. Great lesson. Okay, go ahead. Turn it off.